If you know this one little trick, you can actually see all the skills on the two very first Generation 3 marksmen in Call of Dragons. So stick around in this video for my reactions and some advice about the new pet system. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today we're getting a look at the two new Generation 3 legendary heroes in Call of Dragons. And the way you do this is you go to your settings. This only works, as far as I know, on a mobile device. So it doesn't work on the PC version. I tried it there. You go to emoji, you scroll on down, and there are the emojis. Well, interestingly enough, when you select the emoji for the new heroes, that's either Maggrat or you could get a look at Zayda. Well, if you hit the go button, hey, yo, we're looking at the skills. So here we are. Let's start with Zayda, shall we? Let's get a look at her skills first, all right? She is a marksman PvP mobility. She's the open fielder. She's the one that most people should be interested in, and you can obtain her from the lucky spin, okay? So we get a look here at the skills. The active skill, well, the active skill is a passive skill. So there's no active skill on this hero. When Zayda's Legion deals normal attack damage, they gain a stack of Dawn Watcher's Mark for 5 seconds. They can get 10 stacks, 1 per second max. And each stack of Dawn Watcher's Mark increases your normal attack damage dealt by 4% and your march speed by 1%. Now the total here is you can get up to 8%. So you're looking at a 80% boost to your normal attack damage and also a 20% boost to your march speed. So you are moving, basically running and gunning, which is kind of cool. All right. From here, next skill. When Zayda's Legion reaches the maximum amount of Dawn Watcher's Mark stacks, they're going to deal 4% more damage, a total of 10% when maxed, and receive 20% more healing. So there is a little bit of a baked-in synergy with Maggrat, spoiler alert. From here, we're going to look at tactical adjustment. When maxed, all marksman units in her Legion gain 30% physical attack and 10% march speed. So Zayda is hoofing it. 30% total march speed across these two skills. She is mobility, and it is showing. From here, fourth skill. When Zayda's Legion deals normal attack damage, they have a 25% chance to gain normal attack focus, increasing their normal attack crit rate by 25% for 4 seconds. Now look, if I'm understanding this correctly, 25% chance, lasts for 4 seconds. You should expect to have this up most of the time, okay? So you're looking at a solid 80% normal attack damage dealt when stacked, plus 25% crit rate. Hey, yo, that is pretty legit. That is pretty dang legit. And the thing that I kind of wonder here is when she deals a normal attack, they gain 1 stack of Dawn Watcher's Mark. Does that trigger Hosk's Awakening skill? Because if that triggers Hosk's Awakening skill, that means within 5 seconds, your Hosk with Zayda combo is going to have, isn't it 30% more crit rate for your normals and your counters? Just saying, there could be some cool synergy here, even though she's not really doing anything with counterattack. Now, when she's awakened, she will enter combat with 3 stacks of Dawn Watcher's Mark. So I don't know if that would also qualify as buff, thus triggering Hosk. This is the sort of thing that we'll have to either ask support or see when she gets here. But overall, I think Zayda's power level looks very strong. Now, I would assume that she's going to be paired with Maggrat, quite frankly, and the two of them will do well together. That's the way the game's worked. It's like the new heroes come out, and you're not supposed to think too much. You just pair them together. But that's in part because the game's not very far along yet. There's just not that much mix and match. But also, the heroes have typically been designed in a way where it's really heavily shoving you in the direction of you should just pair these together. From what I can see here, the major potential synergy is healing, but let's go get a look at Maggrat and you'll see what I mean here. Overall, I think Zayda's power level looks good. Maggrat is the new Garrison champion or hero, and she is looking sassy, man. So what does she do? Well, this is a weird one. Maggrat's Legion gains variable healing. Whenever they deal normal attack damage, they have a heal rate of 5%. And when variable healing has been triggered 5 times, so 5 normal attacks, their next normal attack deals 250%, upwards of 450% more damage. And variable healing can be triggered once every second. So to me, this feels like you want to stack the most normal attack damage possible, depending on how the multiplier works here with this damage. I don't know if, like, for example, Zayda's 80% will be additive with the 450, so that ends up being an attack in which you're doing, 530% damage, or if they multiply off each other, like, I would assume probably they're additive. And if they're additive, that doesn't sound as nearly as insane as if they're multiplicative, obviously, right? But this sort of like healing plus damage is very curious. The variable healing here feels to me like it will be a very small amount. The more units you defeat and the higher their levels, the higher healing rate you have. There is a pet skill that does this effect, and I find it to be extremely underwhelming. So it is possible this is cool. It's possible that, like, I think the amount of sustain from 5% heal based on your damage dealt every single attack is going to end up being meaningful. But let's get a look here. What's interesting is they have just passive skills, no active skills on either of the new heroes. So I'm all for this, but as we continue on, Maggrat's Legion gains, or whenever Maggrat's Legion gains healing, or variable healing, they have a 30% chance to gain 20% attack for 3 seconds. So to me, this means you want a lot of healing capabilities on the pet. Like a sand lizard could be good. The skill I was describing earlier that you can put onto a pet that does healing, that could be good, because that, if I understand correctly, could trigger this. But I also kind of feel like if you're got a 30% chance and every single turn you're doing at least one normal attack, you got a pretty good shot of maintaining this 40% attack when maxed out. And like a skill that is a condition to maintain 40% attack, it's all right. Wouldn't call it crazy, but it's all right. From here, all marksmen in Maggrat's Legion deal 15% more normal attack damage, which, like, yes, you want to deal more normal attack damage if the some percentage of that, 5%, is translated into healing, right? You want to elevate that as much as you can. And their hit points are boosted by 20%. So kind of tanky, a little bit of punch. And the fourth skill is for garrisons only. When you're in a city or a stronghold, they receive healing every 10 seconds, healing factor 200, and gain 10% attack for 5 seconds. This is a very underwhelming skill, I would say. Not only is it contingent on your being in a garrison, but also it's not much, man. It's not much. And on the topic of not much, the awakening. Good news, bad news. Yeah, you can awaken her, but it basically makes it so that when you have normal attacked 5 times, you will now deal 500% more damage instead of 450. I think it's just a 50% lift from the 450 to the 500, okay? And 50% lift sounds really good. If it's a multiplicative, like I said, additive onto there, it's okay. Unless I'm missing something, chat, y'all let me know if I missed something here. Now, it is possible that the skills are not in their final form because these heroes aren't technically visible yet, but I would be surprised if these changed too much between now and when they become visible. And the only reason I'm comfortable showing these is, like, I had dozens of people point out to me that this is visible, so, like, it's in game, man. If it's in game and we can find it, it's not a leak at that point. It just is what it is. And people are already talking about it, so, like, it's fine to talk about, I feel. So there's a couple things that I think are strange about this hero. One thing that I find strange is the healing. Why would I find that healing? Well, healing is typically bad for a standard garrison situation. You don't want to heal in a pass because if you think about it, someone could just reinforce the pass instead. So, like, you could heal troops that are in there already, or you could just reinforce it with new troops. So you'd always rather have no healing skills. You don't want any heals. It doesn't matter. Like, healing is worthless to you. Any other skill that's not healing is worth more because you could always just put more troops in the garrison by reinforcing and have the same effect as a heal. So healing, generally not good. That said, healing is good in Arc. It's good in this game, it's Roots of War. In Roots of War, you want to hold the garrison for as long as possible. And in that regard, I think Maggrat's incremental heal and also this heal over here, that's what it seems to be designed for, I think. I think that's where her healing is really going to be doing you favors, is when you want that garrison to last as long as possible. The only other time where I feel like there's value to heal in like a pass, for example, is if your enemy is doing what I've heard lovingly called a reach around pass capture. What does that mean? If the enemy is rallying the pass from one side, and here's the pass, and they use another pass, okay, to come all the way around and physically block you from reinforcing the pass, that's what I've heard called sort of a reach around pass capture, okay? And the intention there is that your healing will now prolong the garrison's life, and that is critical when you can't get more troops into the garrison. So if an enemy were to fully surround the garrison in a way that you could no longer get troops into it, healing is very good in that context. And that did happen a couple times, and it is kind of a big deal. But generally speaking, even if you're defending your city, I think it's only okay. You'd rather do so much damage that the enemy is not able to fill their rally or they're getting wrecked as they're swarming. I think that's generally better. It can be okay if you're delaying until you use a peace shield, but like in this game, how are you getting yourself into this situation? Like you have to really try or be fully offline. And if you're fully offline, healing is not good for keeping you alive. Like maybe it delays a little bit, and maybe if you're minutes away and you do log in, maybe it matters, but feels unlikely to me. So overall, a very interesting and I think intentional choice to put healing onto the garrison. I think this to me signals that she's for Roots of War. And like, will she be good for Roots of War? I would assume so. I think she'll also be very interesting in the open field, and it's a part of the reason I felt like the kit was a little weird. You see, this sort of an ability where every 5 seconds you do a ton of extra damage, that's very good in the open field. Because if an enemy is going to walk away from you, it sucks if I don't know what happens if they walk away. If they walk away and you haven't done a normal attack, I assume that unlike an active skill, which like I think you can sometimes just lose them. I feel like you can sometimes just lose them if an enemy's out of range. I could be wrong. But here, I think what would happen is as soon as you can normal attack someone again, you're going to do that extra damage, which, look, like would I rather wait 10 seconds for an active skill cycle and then do my damage, or would I rather every 5 seconds just get some extra normal? This is way better. This is way better. It's very powerful, I think. I think both of these heroes are going to end up being very powerful. For the most part, honestly, unfortunately, the exception of the most recent mages when they were released to the game, new heroes are generally pushing the power level. And I think these two are going to be very good. Now, will they redefine what's best for battling behemoths? It is possible, but I'm not sure. I'm definitely going to have to put more thought into pairings and ultimately what the talents will look like for these heroes. I think Maggrat will become a staple in Row, and in that regard, you can rally with your Sin Fray, and you put the Maggrat plus probably Zayda, I'd have to look at her kit again, into that rally and then switch them to the captain after you take over. That's going to be the play. And we'll get more and more of those sorts of combos as the game evolves, and I think they're going to be pretty powerful. Now, she is a physical damage dealer, and the interesting thing about defending your city with her that I hadn't actually considered at first is even though she's got this healing that I find very lackluster, we'll see, maybe the amount of healing she's doing is busted, but the thing that is kind of neat is that when you defend your city, remember that the amount of skill damage you deal looks back to your troop types. So a physical skill damage dealer will look to your physical units. Your magic skill damage dealers like Tohar are going to look back to your magic units to determine how much damage they deal. But your normal and counterattack damage for defending your city, regardless of what troop type it is, stays the same. So all troops are contributing, whether they are magic or physical, to your normal attack damage dealt. So in that regard, being a normal attacker and having no focus at all on skill damage actually ends up being kind of compelling for a city defense. I don't know. Oh, it's also 20% attack flat here. It doesn't say physical attack. So that would also enhance perhaps your normal attacks overall, contributing from your magic units. I don't know exactly how that works, but actually, I'm talking myself into Maggrat being cool for defending your city, that thing that you actually never need in this game. Whatever, cheesy pants, whatever. But it is significant, if I am correct, that you could, even in Roots of War, shove magic units into this garrison and have it do well. Just saying. Just saying that's actually extremely compelling. Yeah, Maggrat, new row meta. And I think Maggrat and Zayda seem like they'll just be good in the open field. Obviously, getting extra normal attacks is very good from Sindrian, but both of the new heroes have this baked in, can only trigger once per second for a lot of what's going on. So I don't think that extra normals is going to bust it. I don't think that the extra crit... Well, I mean, you could argue that Freygar extra crit rate with this could be kind of nutty, right? Like going in and doing 500% normal attack damage, but remember, Freygar is giving... I mean, yeah, you want to elevate your normal crit for sure. Like normal crit is very good is a combination here with Maggrat for sure. Kanara, I think, would also she's just generally strong, but I don't know if that's really on the plan here with what these new heroes are doing. It's not on the plan, but it's not really on plan. The only thing I would say is kind of a weakness of both of them is that they are not doing much counterattack. And I find that because marksmen just are up in front and they get kind of shredded, you really need the counterattack on those. I find that Sin Frey, when getting focused, does not do well, and is a part of the reason why I'm using Hosk and Kanara, is they will do better when they're getting focused and they're up front. And unless you're going to micromanage a ball of pure archers, I don't know, man. So all in all, new heroes looking really, really strong. And on the topic of other things that were in this update, let's talk about pets, baby. Holy smokes, there were a lot to talk about with pets. So number of things have changed here. First of all, you don't level up your pets anymore. I think that's not a bad thing. Leveling up pets was something I was pretty good at doing, but I get that it's simpler to no longer level up pets. And instead of showing the multipliers for the growth rate of the pets and having that toggle between how much do your attributes grow per level and also what's the total, now it just shows you the total because you don't have to level up anymore. And that's a nice little simplification, I would say, overall. I think there's a lot of people that were very confused by that. And the first time you're approaching the system, I would agree, it makes the system harder to take in, okay? Now, in addition to all that, now you can go and you can upgrade skills. So if we go to skill upgrade here, all right, you can select the skill you want to upgrade, like, for example, this one over here. And if you apply 4 equivalent star level skills of the exact same skill, so basically duplicates on here, you can take it to the next star level. There's no way to crit or anything like that as far as I can tell. You can't actually get lucky. It's just steady progression. You get what you get, it is what it is, okay? And you have to have the exact skill that you have here on the pet. You actually can't upgrade, as far as I can tell, skills that are just in your inventory, which is, fine, but kind of a bummer. So this brings up some kind of interesting questions. What to do with, for example, 0-star Wild Chance Strike. And one thing you can do that's kind of interesting now with pets is that when you get rid of a pet, it is guaranteed to give you one of its skills, if it has any. Now, you used to be able to catch pets that had 0 skills. You see where this is going? So what you could do, if you're really slick, and you don't have a pet that's already got like a, no skill or a 0-star that you're trying to upgrade. Like if I want to sort of harvest a 1-star Wild Chance Strike, if I can capture a pet that has no skills on it, put one of these on there, and then put 4 more into it to take it to 1 star, I can then harvest it off the pet by getting rid of the pet. And because it has only that as its skill, I'm guaranteed to get that skill. hey, yo, GG easy, you know? Now, there are, of course, implications here about getting talent skills. You can now harvest talent skills off of pets. So if you can get a 0 skill pet, then you could theoretically actually take advantage of some of these really low, 0-star talent skills, put them onto that pet, harvest them off that pet later as a 1-star, and transfer it into a 1-star talent skill to try to upgrade it toward a 2-star. It's going to take a long time to get there, I think, is what it is. Now, you do need a lot of inventory space, I find. They did give you extra, which was huge. I've already found a way to use it up, though. So I'm probably going to go in, and I don't know what I'm going to do with like 0-star timely strikes, for example, but some of my 1-star ones, I will try to proactively apply onto my pets just to get them out of my inventory. Now, there is a limit to the number of 1-stars that you can go and get. So you can't just like endlessly make 2-star skills. Kind of busted if you could. So if we go and get a look here, there are 35 1-star skills you can get per season. That is a ton. That is actually a ton. And if you can, in fact, catch a 0-skill pet and then deploy a skill on there and harvest off of it, that would imply that you can take these 35 1-star skills and turn it into 5 additional 2-star skills with your harvesting. If that's a thing. I don't know if it is. I haven't caught a no-skill pet since this update, but people are advising me that you would increase your chances of doing that by going back to the starting zone and catching really low-level pets. Now, the other thing you can do to increase the chances of harvesting a skill you wanted from a pet when you get rid of it is that you can actually regenerate to a lower number of skill slots. So if I regenerate this pet down to 2 skill slots, it'll get rid of this skill, which means potentially I have a better chance of getting the skill I want. The only thing that's unknown here is that it could be that the percent chance of getting a talent skill is fixed, and it might not actually change your chances by having less skills. But if it's just an equal chance of getting any of these skills, then it would stand to reason that regenerating down would be a benefit. And one thing you can do to make sure you don't get rid of any of the pets you like, and I can't believe it took this long, but we're finally here and we have it, which is good, is that you actually can lock a pet. So you can see in the upper right, I've locked this pet because obviously I don't want to get rid of it. I really like this pet, not trying to get rid of it, okay? Now, I would love to get more skill slots onto this pet, but as of right now, there's no way to add skill slots to a pet. One thing that you will have noticed, however, is that all skill slots on pets will be open. So you no longer need to go through the really weird process of strangely gambling with 0-star skills to unlock a slot. I don't know why that was ever added, but I think this is a great place to have landed. So you just have all the skill slots available. That's how it should be. IMO. And that's great. That is a very positive change. So all in all, pets are in a, I would say, much better spot, and a better spot than ever, which is really cool. The pet system in this game actually is a very fun, in my opinion, way to be growing your account. Also, I feel like the sand lizard, with the opportunity to potentially be triggering an attack boost on Maggrat, could be a really cool pairing. I will point out that this heal over here is an AoE style heal, only for your friendly legions, but it's like really your legions, not someone else's. Doesn't work on your friend's legions. It's only yours. And the range is very, very small. But if you had a bunch of marksmen all standing on top of each other, this is very cool. It's good in the field, but for the reason I mentioned before, in a garrison, this is not what you want, man. Like, if you think about it, healing your garrison, like, yeah, it has a chance to trigger attack. That's the only redeeming factor. But once again, you could have had the same effect if someone just put more troops into the garrison, right? So I don't think that's where it's at. But for open field, very cool. And this is pretty close to a build I might use, but I probably end up getting rid of Fierce Attack over here and a couple other things. And I'll have to figure out, like, yeah, like it could be to go for more healing-based abilities. You get, like, Tranquility could be cool. There's also a strength-based heal, which could be cool. So several options for what you could do if you wanted to go for a sand lizard. In terms of other normal attackers that could be good. I feel like depending on how much you're going to elevate your crit rate, the Night Rock could be just okay. Like I honestly don't feel like the Night Rock is where it's at. And strangely enough, if every single turn you're doing healing and you get the benefit of friendship, I think this would make it so that you get a health boost. And that health boost is refreshed literally every time you normal attack with Maggrat. But I would want to see that in action before I know for sure, like, oh yeah, that actually works that way. Overall, honestly, very cool update. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments about the new heroes that are on their way. I can't yet see what the artifact is going to do. Typically, when an update rolls in, you can go over here to your heroes, you select the artifact, you hit replace, you scroll down, and you could see the new artifact before it shows up, but I don't see anything here. And I would assume we're not getting a new pet in this upcoming season because it hasn't been mentioned yet. And I'm very okay with that. I'm actually very, very okay with that. We get to work on the pets we have. Those pets are freaking sweet, all right? If you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, consider subscribing. If you're looking for more information about how our current season went, card will be in the end screen. It was a pretty fun one. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.